Welcome to Grawlix Nights, the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm finally Jesse.
Tonight, He-Man makes He-Man childs out of all the fanboys.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, howdy.
We watched some good things, and Savannah's finally here. Finally, Savannah, you decided to show up.
Finally. And Paul's finally Moose.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Savannah, what's going on? Hey, Paul. We have a ton to talk about tonight because I don't know. We have several things that potentially could go long, and I don't want this to go long. So I'm just saying, we have a ton of stuff to talk about. We should probably jump into it as quick as possible. Wow. That was amazing.
Yes.
Don't worry, I'm buffering.
Yeah, that's the only time anyone's ever said that. Like, don't worry, I'm buffering.
Don't worry.
Like
I'm
it's
buffering.
okay. Like, it's okay. I'm just buffering.
Just bear with me. But what I was going to say is, but first, how are you guys doing? How are you two?
I thought for sure you were gonna do a Snyder Watch. You were just like kicking.
No,
you were like,
I don't
but
know.
first, Snyder Watch.
I did have a Snyder Watch in the barrel for last week, but it really isn't that big of a news story, so I think I'm just gonna skip it.
Yeah, we got a lot this time anyway.
Yeah.
So we should start with. I'm good, by the way. We should start with what people watched, and one of our fans already wants to share. I think.
Hey, what'd you guys watch? You in the chat there, what'd you guys watch? And while they're typing that up, and when they're typing that up, listeners, remember, Thursdays at 8:30-ish, we're just going to keep pushing it back, Central Time, hit us up, and you can also attempt to derail us in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard to do.
Not even a little.
Paul says, "Ugh, stupid Ayer people." That's kind of a story that I noted down. I'll run through that super quick. David Ayer blasts Suicide Squad. Quote, "The studio cut is not my movie." So, talking about the first Suicide Squad movie, he has actually been very tight-lipped about it. I think he probably seen what happened with the Fantastic Four director's career and is like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to make a big fuss. I'll be like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. But he finally said, like, kind of spoke out a little bit against it and basically said, like, well, that's not, like, I had an amazing cut, right? An amazing movie. The studio version is not my movie. And,
yeah, that's like the extended trailer version, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah. He's like, that's not my movie. And then I'm not going to talk anymore about it.
Okay.
Not me, him. That's what he said. But, of course, hashtag release the Ayer cut was trending with like 21,000 tweets today. So, okay, so Savannah watched, was it a movie called Save Yourselves? It's something she was excited about. She highly recommends it. She says it has the Indian girl from Glow. Okay. Yeah, she was good. I liked her in that. Save Yourselves. What is this? Okay, 2020 movie. Is it Sunita Manny? I'm not good with
Names.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you good at spelling?
Me?
Yeah.
I used to be okay at it.
I was just discussing with my sisters because I can spell good and neither of them can at all.
GOOD.
Yeah, and I can pronounce names way better than they can. So I wonder if it's related. Like if you can spell stuff, it's easier for you to sound out names than if you're a bad speller.
But no, I think my problem is it's foreign names. Okay, it's foreign names that I don't quite have a good grasp on what the sounding out is supposed to sound like.
Right, like when.
And I realize that makes me look like stupid American. I've had some awkward moments at the beginning of interviews for clients trying to like get their name right in the past, and some people are okay about it, and some people have a very like don't have a lot of patience for it. And I'm just like, listen, I understand how it makes me sound, but I'm genuinely trying to get it right because I don't want to be disrespectful. Whatever. But that's my whole thing. That's what I mean usually when I'm like, I can't say names.
Yeah.
If it's not Bob Smith, then you know, I have trouble. But I try. Yeah, she said aliens attack. So this actually, I have not heard of this movie. It sounds interesting. A young Brooklyn couple head to an upstate cabin to unplug from their phones and reconnect with each other. Okay, I was like, okay. Blissfully unaware of their surroundings, they are left to their own devices as the planet falls under attack, and that kind of sounds fun. So, Nodskov? I don't know. Russian's a little bit different. You just got to say it like conviction in your phone.
You're close.
Say it like you mean it.
It's Nodskov.
Nodskov? Yeah, but she says it the American way.
I don't think it's Russian anyway. I think it's Danish. But yeah.
That's just because of her brother's name. Her brother's name is Dane. Okay, anyway. Moving on. Paul had also commented, he's been watching Dark Side of the 90s, which he recommended to me and Melanie, but we don't have whatever stupid pseudo cable subscription Hulu requires to watch it. Like you need their live TV subscription or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I ain't doing that. And also he says some old Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Also, Savannah says it's Russian.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was wrong. Sorry. So, what did you watch, Randy?
Oh my gosh. So many. First, I feel like I've been talking a little bit for a while. Oh wait, I'm not gonna. Never mind. I was gonna try to segue and give Jesse a chance to talk, but like you literally just went off cam, so that's the wrong time to do it. Okay. Hey Jesse, what have you been up to? You been watching anything? You been doing anything fun?
Well, I've been watching two things. I watched all the rest of Invincible. I basically binged Invincible over the weekend, and then a little thing called He-Man. Not called He-Man, called anything but He-Man. We'll get into that.
It's not called He-Man. He-Man's not even in the title.
No, it's not even in the title. We'll get into it.
We'll get into it.
Just calm down, everybody. We're going to cover that.
I've been waiting. I made Melanie watch it. She would not have wanted to watch it.
I'm sorry.
But as soon as I seen like how it was being, just the reaction to it, I was like, we have to cover this, Melanie.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
watch this?
Yeah. Well,
I think that Holly would actually enjoy this one, but like also I'm not going to make her watch this unless she actually wants to.
Right. What'd you think of Invincible? So you finally finished the first season.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, like they cover a lot of storylines. I mean, like it's basically like the comics, but like way fast forward comparatively. It's like listening to a podcast on 1.5 speed, maybe 2 times speed. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's interesting. I guess there's a lot of maybe character stuff and just things like that got dropped, but it's, if you know how it goes in the comics, it does feel rushed, but watching it, it's not like it feels like it's rushing through a bunch of stuff. It's just lots of stuff happens.
Right.
Yeah, I do remember being a couple episodes in and being like, oh, they're already doing this.
Yeah. Well, I understand they have to try and grab people because it's a TV show, so it's not going to work the same as a book. But I do worry that they're going to blow through all the material a little quickly. And then what are they going to do?
There's still so much.
I was going to say at the end, at the very last hit my mic. At the very last episode where he's like, what are you going to do? He's like, I guess I'll graduate high school, but they do this whole montage of everything that's still a dangling plot thread. It was like, oh yeah.
I didn't know they had a prequel comic.
To the He-Man show.
Oh, okay.
The anything but He-Man show.
Wait, are you talking about He-Man? No, there were various Invincible spin-off comics though.
Oh.
There were a few.
I'm pretty sure that's what Paul's talking about, though. There is a prequel comic to
The He-Man, yeah.
The not He-Man show.
Okay. I think I just caught it late, maybe.
Yeah, it's called the original series.
Depending on who you talk to, they will disagree with you vehemently.
Okay. Well, Melanie and I watched a couple things. For one, we watched Kingdom. Here's a name. How did they said it? It's spelled Ashin, but in the show it sounded like they were saying Ashina. So I'll say Ashina of the North. Kingdom looks like Ashin of the North. And it is a feature-length special episode prequel to the Netflix series Kingdom, which has 2 seasons out. We watched it. It's the South Korean political zombie horror. It's like a political thriller / zombie horror series. Super good. And I didn't even know they were doing this prequel movie. And I seen it there, and I was like, oh, this is what we're watching. And so we watched it. And I was like, wait, who is this Ashina anyway? Like, who is this character that this is their prequel story? Who is it? And I went and looked back in at the end of like season 2, and it's literally a character that shows up in like the last scene of season 2 that we know nothing about. I'm like, how are they going to do this prequel movie about a character we literally seen in one shot of the entire series?
Yeah, but I was figuring they did it that they gave the prequel to establish that character for people who don't know who she is, so that when they focus on her heavily, I'm assuming in the next season, will be caught up or whatever.
If we won't talk too much about it because kind of by the nature of it, there's a lot of spoilers, especially if you haven't watched the series at all. The series, I know zombies have kind of been played out for a while for a lot of people. It's the best zombie TV show of the last quite a while. And the political, so it's I guess kind of a medieval time period, but it takes place in South Korea. It's a period piece. And it is as much, if not more, like political intrigue and drama. And then zombie horror done really well. We've talked about it a couple times on the show, actually. I think we first mentioned it when we had Pete on way back, like the second time Pete Mitchell was on the show, and then whatever. But this prequel special episode, it's pretty much a movie. Why is the YouTube stream being stupid? Paul asks. It's YouTube.
Right. Watch it literally anywhere else.
Bootleg.
Twitch. I recommend Twitch, especially for my TikTokers. Watch it on Twitch.
But this prequel episode thing was great.
It was great.
Did you? Yeah. What did you think? I've talked a lot.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. No, it wasn't amazing. But it was very good. It's hard to say anything's amazing though. Really super interesting character. And the story was good. It fit in with the rest of the series. There's always some things that I think it's just a cultural thing that I'm like, why would they do that? But that's fine. And it takes the story where it needs to go. And it's great. It's great. It's a good character, and I'm excited to see what they do with her.
Oh, Paul says Twitch doesn't work on Roku. How does Twitch not have a Roku app? That's shocking to me. Or a Roku, whatever they call it.
That's probably why the YouTube thing's being stupid.
Roku.
Roku. It's the Roku YouTube not connection.
I will say
it's not Google.
Kingdom, this prequel thing, maybe watch the series first. I think it
Yeah.
does work on its own, but there's some spoiler stuff
Hmm.
if you haven't seen the series. Um, but I think it's a decent horror movie type thing. But honestly, like, zombies don't play into the plot at all until almost the end of the thing. Like, it's all kind of character origin story and political drama, tragedy, I guess. But I'll get off of it now. It's good. Highly recommend, especially if you've watched the series. Check it out for sure.
Yep.
We also watched See You Yesterday. Jesse, have you heard of this?
See you. What's that stand
Yesterday.
for? Oh, see you yesterday
As in, see you tomorrow, but it's See
Oh.
You Yesterday.
instead of see you next week.
Not that.
Tuesday. I
Yeah.
messed it up.
That's okay.
See you
I knew what you were going for.
Week.
Hmm.
No, I haven't seen this on a Tuesday or any day.
You cunmole. Yeah, so this is a 2019. Paul says I saw that yesterday, actually. 2019 time travel movie. Has a Michael J. Fox cameo. He has a speaking role. It's great to
Wow.
see him. He looks pretty good for however old he must be, but he always looked super young anyway.
Yeah.
It's always a little kind of sad, a little bit, like,
Yeah.
you know, because you could tell they have to, when they go to close-ups of him in speaking dialogue, you know, you could tell maybe they cut around
Yeah.
the
And they
more extreme shakes, I guess.
they always have to have him like doing something too, you know, like picking something up off the desk and moving it around. I don't know, whatever. But I thought he looked pretty good, and
He looked great,
yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever. The movie's not about him, but it was a nice Back to the Future nod. They even give him a line. He's great Scott. So, you know, that's fun. And that kind of plays into the weirdness of the movie. So it's time travel movie where these two high school students invent these time travel backpacks. They can only go back like a day or so. It kind of fluctuates as the movie goes. But it's more, so it's got like it wants to be fun time travel adventure, you know, kind of carefree fun. But at the same time, the kind of key driving thing of the plot is a Black Lives Matter police murder thing.
Oh,
that they're trying
So-
to prevent with the time travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the characters are all, I think all the main characters are black, and it's definitely has that social message. So, I mean, it's an interesting thing to approach, like, let's approach this issue with time travel and, you know, whatever, and play with it. But it's really weird because it becomes like trying to prevent, like, this person got murdered by the police, and then how can we go back and change this? And like it's a little bit that time travel thing where you go back to try to fix a thing, and then it just ends up more jacked up or jacked up in another way, and so you
Right.
just keep trying to whatever. So it's approaching this like really serious and real and heavy subject matter, and it's also like has dramatic moments, like there's stakes for the characters, yet also wants to be a fun a couple of teens invented time travel wacky adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And the tone is a little weird because of it.
Oh, in my TikTok chat, they say that the person who was shot was the main character's brother, so that adds extra stakes to it. Sounds like the people in my chat know what this is, and they are on board.
Yeah.
Spider Shock cosplay in particular.
Mhm.
Yeah,
It's a good movie. Yeah, we really do enjoy it. I mean, we always end up getting spoilery. We were, you know.
I was just trying to avoid spoiler like.
Oh, did I just drop a huge spoiler?
Not really.
Sweet.
Not really.
Sorry,
No,
guys and guys and guys.
Honest. Well, if you know anything about the movie going into it, like I suspected that was the case. You kind of see it coming.
Oh,
Yeah.
But I was just trying to be vague. It doesn't matter. especially if your chat knows about it anyway. So it's fine.
But if you haven't seen the movie, I would recommend it. I like weird tones. That's one of the things I look for in movies. And I thought it was great. It was not quite the same as that one. What was that one movie with the guy who had a collar job and he.
Sorry to bother you. Yeah.
It wasn't nearly as weird as that, but it still had kind of a similar fun in a strange situation kind of a vibe. You know what I mean?
Maddie D says, "You all can relax. I made it for a live event." Thanks, Matt.
Woo-hoo.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah, no, it does have a similar. I don't think it doesn't attempt to be like kind of absurd, like Sorry to Bother You or anything like that. It's not that over the top,
right?
But it does have that similar, like, this is part, fun comedy, part serious social commentary drama. Right. And it's so weird.
With disturbing mutants. Wait, what?
There were no what do they call? I can't say it. Horse people. Sapiens, whatever they call them.
Sapiens. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. There were none of that. There was none of that. I will say though, my it's not a perfect movie. See You Yesterday, because the characters to me, the two main characters were at times unbearable and illogical. And I get you. It's fine to have characters be illogical, but there's certain things like the one character who seemed to have a equal hand in inventing time. They invented time travel. And like some stuff happens, and he's like, "Well, we missed. Well, nah, we missed the. They were trying to do it for like a fair. No, what was it?
It was
like an expo. They were trying for school, and the idea is they're going to get scholarships and stuff, and they missed. Spoilers. They missed the expo, and he's like, "Well, what's it matter? We missed the expo." I'm like, "Dude, it's time travel. What are you talking about? What's it matter? You missed the expo."
Right.
You invented time travel. You can be ruling the world in a month. What are you talking about? So just things like that I'm like, the characters
they're pretty dumb for smart people.
Kind of, yeah, too hyper focused on staying in the plot to where it kind of pushes the believability of the characters a little bit. Okay.
If it was real people that invented time travel, they'd probably be super boring, and they definitely wouldn't make a movie about it.
It'd be like Primer, and they just fight with each other.
Yeah, I love Primer, but I do have friends that are like, I can't watch this. This is boring. I don't know what's happening. But I'd also recommend that one. I think that one's great.
Okay, Maddie D. Hey, can we make a pact that if anyone in our group invents time travel, that we come back to this exact time and place? Yes.
What? Did I miss it?
Did you?
No. Never mind. I've been here the whole time.
What happened to the Melanie that was there a moment ago?
What movies did we watch? Did we watch anything else? Is that it?
We also started Shadow and Bone, Netflix series, but we're only a few episodes in. I'm digging it. It's weird. It's interesting. It's based on a book series. You could definitely tell, but it's a fantasy drama thing. I like the setting because it's like a mesh of things. You've got like Victorian period London stuff, but like this area is set up like a old Western saloon town, and then you've got like old time Russian army stuff over here. Like it's an interesting mesh of styles and a lot of
Harry Potter in there.
A lot of Harry Potter type plot elements, but I'm enjoying it so far.
Me too.
And apparently people have been, because there will be another season. It's already been.
Oh, okay. And I like the one dude from Punisher. I like him. I like the character. I like him as an actor, and I like the character that he's playing. I think it suits him well.
Yeah, it's got the guy in the Punisher series who.
John Bernthal or the other guy?
No. the villain, the pretty boy who was supposed to get
Oh,
ugly,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then they didn't make him ugly because lack
Right.
of conviction. I don't know,
Oh, right.
but I do like that actor.
Yeah.
And he plays a certain type of character very well, and
I agree.
it kind of seems how he is in this show.
Mhm. So,
Oh, look at Maddie D busting out some old taglines there.
mhm.
Old taglines. Remember that?
Man.
Yeah. We should have been like, in the future, we're not going to do it in the futures anymore.
Remember when we did all sorts of stuff pre 100? That was weird.
Yeah.
Everybody else remembers 100, right?
Yeah, it was great. That was like the
It was
best one.
That was our best episode, probably.
If
Yeah.
you missed that episode,
That was
that
tough.
was a chance of a lifetime. And you just
Yeah,
gone.
really should invent time travel so you can hear it again.
Yeah.
Because that's how podcasts work.
Yep. Oh, Maddie D says it's his favorite. All right, we're very inside of our own lore at this point. So.
We really are. Primer rules and all.
Okay, real quick, let's do a react at the news, and then we'll
Okay.
get into the main topic.
Okay.
And this is official. Like, this is BBC. BBC reported this, so this isn't just no like The Sun or whatever it is, that weird publication over there that reports a bunch of rumors and nonsense. 100 was the culmination of all the Grawlix, the end game for Grawlix.
Yeah.
hmm
Paul says 100 question mark hashtag release the 100 cut. Our episodes aren't even numbered. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
It's all something Grawlix nights now.
We
I
just
mean, always.
we just make nerd sounds into our phones.
Yeah. Just nerd sounds. What was that?
Oh, that was weird. It was
Mhm.
weird.
I
Man,
blacked
I
out
wish
for a
my
moment.
TikTokers could have seen that.
This is gonna be so. I was about to say this is gonna be so confusing for audio listeners. What is going on? Hey, I'm
Mhm.
not cutting it. Okay. Doctor Who,
Oh,
Jodie Whittaker, and Chris Chibnall to leave in 2022.
Oh.
So
I'm so sad.
it is the thing we didn't want.
Yeah.
We wanted. Listen, I don't. Chibnall's gonna have a job. I'm not saying I
Right.
don't want Chibnall to work. I loved Broadchurch, but we wanted Chibnall gone. He sucks on the
We did.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just
This was not his jam, man.
drained the
No.
life out of it. But we're hoping that Whittaker would stick around at least another season with a new showrunner, so that maybe she could get someone who was not Chibnall to like help her make a better name for her doctor.
Right.
Almost anybody at this point, I think.
Mm-hmm. New gaming.
Oh, yeah. That'd be
I
a
don't know
dream.
if he'd agree to show.
Probably not.
Could
He
you
at this
wouldn't,
point.
but I know he wouldn't. But he'd be
let
great.
him? Just let him
Consult on a bajillion other projects
all
like
the
he's doing.
stories.
Yeah.
Like, here, you make the stories.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe that's what they need. They need a showrunner who is not a writer, and they could just pick good stuff and string it together instead of
Well, the benefit
You know.
of having a showrunner writer is they will craft like the overall like season or series
Mhm.
plot, and then they'll kind of like oversee the other scripts that come in, because like Moffat, he'd only write once he was showrunner, he'd only write an episode or two, but he would then like structure the whole overarching plot and kind of like, we need to get here, and then they kind of pepper that through the other episodes that they don't necessarily write.
They should just hire me because I don't write, but I still do that. I do that when I read stories and watch movies. And I'm like, you know what? I do the like what is the cinematic universe thing. I'm like, if we put this and that and this together, it would be like
the
this.
pitch. You want to do the
Yeah.
pitch. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I found, and I'm going to continue to like harp on the showrunners, because they are they become the public face of everything that happens behind the production of the show, right?
They bring back Philip Hinchcliffe, especially with time travel. Like, just bring back really old showrunners. Like, bring back
Literally, time travel.
Terrence Dick. Yeah, bring back Terrence Dick. Dude's dead, but doesn't have
Terrence
to be.
Dicks. Like they're all about the Daleks. Every episode is Daleks.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What continuity? I made it.
Dude, he would so like bring in old doctors and whatnot too.
I love the old series. The new series, you can't help it, contradicts its own continuity all the time. But like the old series, they'd have writers.
I think you invented an accurate word there. You said contraduces, so it contradicts and produces. So it contraduces. It creates its own contradictions.
They would contradice stuff that would contradict like things that they themselves written before. So yeah. Anyway.
You know what I think they should do? Now that we're gaining the technology, maybe they can work on it a little bit more. But since we have deepfakes and such now, they should have old doctors in new episodes, because I can't imagine being a time traveler that lives that long and goes all over that you don't run into yourself pretty frequently, you know? I would think. Or better yet, to bring around some of the old companions and have them, like, somebody comes into the TARDIS and there's, Jamie, and they're like, oh, hey, something like that. They
especially while he's still around and very active in the Big Finish productions. I mean, yeah.
And they
I
can
remember
de-age him a bit, and there you go.
I don't remember which episode. It was during I think this last season of Doctor Who. But there was something where a bunch of people, they were like trying to find the TARDIS or find the Doctor crew. Or maybe it was the Doctor was trying to find, I don't know. But I love the idea of people like trying to find the TARDIS crew. And they find the TARDIS and run in all excited. And it's like some old TARDIS crew that they'd never seen before. And they're like, what? I would love that.
That would be great. That'd be a great gag.
Mm-hmm.
And people would pop for it,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That reminds me of there being a pool in the TARDIS. I don't know why. Random stuff. Anyway.
So, more on this news story.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan won't let that happen, like Paul said.
So they're out of the show. Right. Ryan's gone. He has no say in what happens. Autumn of 2022, they're gone. So, this year we are getting a 6-part season, a 6-part series. So 6 episodes, and it's all Chibnall has been saying that it's all one story, like more so than usual, more so than Monster of the Week with the overarching series, plot. It's one continuous serialized thing, which I remember when he first came on, him saying that's what he's doing right from the beginning.
Right.
Apparently BBC, I'm guessing, nixed that, and he finally is able to do it. So, Trial of the Time Lord, look for it.
Right.
And then 2022, we're getting 3 specials. So they're doing that thing again, where they'll give us like 6. I guess did we have a New Year's special this year? 6, maybe 7 episode season, and then for a year, and then like 3 specials the next year. That's very.
So we're getting an Easter special again, the greatest special that has ever been done in new Doctor Who.
Which one was the Easter special?
Was it Planet of the Dead with the bus?
Oh.
And the jewel thief.
Okay.
I was being facetious. It's okay. It's not great. It's not my favorite special by far. I'll take the Titanic over that one.
Zombies on Easter is good though.
Yeah.
Who are they going to have be the Doctor then? Or we don't know yet.
They're going to make a big deal about that.
So they're going to do that before the specials though?
Probably not.
Okay.
It'll probably be around the last special. They'll start ramping up to the big announcement.
So we get Jodie Whittaker for 6 episodes and 3 specials.
3 specials. So one special. Hold on, I have all this information. Blah 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 blah.
Yep.
I do have this information. You just gotta give me a second here. Okay. Followed by 3 specials, the first of which will be broadcast New Year's Day 2022. Then later in spring 2022, so that tracks with Easter. Jesse's Easter special. And then in autumn of 2022 will be the final special, and it's supposed to be a feature-length special. And then they're gonna have new Doctor, new showrunner. 2023 is Doctor Who's 60th anniversary, so there's probably gonna be pressure to do some big special for that too. So, yeah.
Ooh, that'd be great. Have they ever done that? Halloween special? Maddie D asks.
I don't know.
Seems like a good time to try it.
How is Halloween a thing? A big Halloween is not a big thing in a lot of other countries, and I think England is one of those countries. So
No.
I think that's why we don't get like big Doctor Who Halloween.
But it came from there, didn't it? I mean, like, didn't Halloween essentially come from there as a pagan holiday?
Well, I mean,
Or is it more of a religious pagan holiday that we
where does
invented
anything
over here?
come from? Where does anything come from anywhere when it comes to pagan holidays? I don't know.
Fair enough.
The Doctor meets Universal monsters. Universal won't let that happen.
Right.
Maybe if we use turnips instead of pumpkins, then it'd be more of a big deal to them. But
Turnips instead of pumpkins.
that's what they used to use. Yeah.
So anyway, on my rewatch, I just finished the first Whittaker season, the first Chibnall season. And
is it as jarring as I remember it? I was still full of hope though.
It starts off real bad. It's not like they're just bad. It goes so bland, and it's so weird. For as sour as we were on Moffat at times, going from Moffat Capaldi into 13th Doctor, it's like just the life completely gets sucked out.
It's like
All the
Moffat knew.
characters are so
It's like Moffat's
bland.
like, y'all miss me when I'm gone.
Yeah, the characters are so bland. We've talked about it, and we've been doing, I think, these live streams long enough that you could probably go back and, well, that was 2017, so maybe not. But I remember us covering like every episode of that season, and it still strikes me as it did then. Like, it's so kind of bland. The characters are so rather boring, and the Doctor, like Jodie's Doctor, doesn't given anything. Like, she's not a huge presence on her own, and then mixed in with 3 other characters. I feel like some other Doctors, and the way that they were written, even if they were traveling with 3 companions on the regular, they're so like big and bombastic that, with the exception of maybe 9, he wasn't super bombastic, but like definitely 10, 11, and then 13 at times. The War Doctor crap, man. They messed it all up.
Yep.
But they're so like, I don't know, energy that they kind of would control the scene regardless. And Jodie doesn't do that. So
I think the best character since Chibnall took over, they killed off in the first episode.
Oh yeah.
Dude, Grace
Grace was great.
She had so much personality.
Uh-huh.
She was interesting, and she had presence, and yeah, it's they killed the wrong one.
Yeah, she stole a scene from the Frog, man.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry, Frog.
I feel like though that season, because like I said, I just finished it. I haven't watched, like, then they did the New Year's special. I haven't watched that yet, but I mean, I've seen it before, obviously. The second half does improve, only because I think the stories get more interesting. The characters aren't really any more interesting, but I feel like the stories kind of get like, it kind of like Demons of Punjab or whatever it was. That's a good episode because it's an interesting story, and there's an inherent drama there, but it's not particularly good because of anything that the TARDIS crew contributes to it. And that's kind of where the good stories are that season.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because the Doctor and the fam is there. It's just because it's an interesting story. And that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I feel like almost every episode, again, since Chibnall took over, you can basically tell exactly what's going to happen. He's going to meet somebody. They're going to be sweet. They're going to get either die or get screwed over somehow, and then they'll do something to foil the big bads of the episode's thing, and then it's over. It's very like the same formula over and over and over.
Maddie D. Oh, the doctor meets Michael Myers and regenerates into Jamie Lee Curtis. Then we get the first female American Doctor. BBC won't let that happen.
They really won't.
Paul says, "Oh crap! Since they recycled faces, it's time for Barrowman to be a doctor." They're not gonna let that happen.
No way. I mean, they get too much bang for the buck out of Captain Jack Return, anyways. Plus, after Barrowman doing what he did.
Well, he didn't do. He did.
Yeah,
it
I
while
know.
he was
I know.
filming the original series.
But I mean, like, that's perfectly in line with the Captain Jack character. It's not in line with the Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's weird. Okay. Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to the. Oh wait, do you have any more news?
No, I mean, yes, but no. I'm gonna skip it all. We don't have time. I want more Doctor. I don't care. You know, we kind of trash talk Chibnall, but at the same time, I'm still gonna complain that there's only 6, 7, 8 episodes in the next 2 years to look forward to. I hate that type of release schedule. They've been doing that for since Tennant.
Yeah, they need something more consistent. I mean, I thought that's what we were going to get with a new showrunner, was maybe some consistency.
Right.
And nope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
BBC is weird. Of course, you know, we're American, so we're not super familiar with how that all works. But man, it seems like it's just always like behind the scenes political crap. Like they're just always fighting some battle or another, because it's like the whole thing of like 3 years in, and Chibnall finally gets to do his like continuous story for a season that he said he was going to do at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So like BBC definitely has stipulations, which it's their property. I get it, but it's strange. Oh, that's true. Maddie D says it's better than 12 years of nothing on TV. Wilderness years, how it was scary. I have been lucky in that I didn't discover Doctor Who till around Matt Smith, so I had But listen, I caught up real quick.
Yeah, you did. You watched everything.
I watched everything, and now I want more. Because that's how you do. When you're a real fan, you watch everything. You take the good and the bad. What do you have?
The facts of life.
Yes. So, let's talk about Masters of the Universe Revelation finally.
Speaking of take the good and the bad.
I'll take the good, which is the show. You guys can have the bad, which is all the
fans. Oh, no.
Panties.
This is not a good deal.
Here's how it is. Like, let me tell you a story. Hey, what's up, Twitch person? He-Man, finally.
Hey, there we go. Jared finally migrated over to Twitch where he can interact with us.
Ah, yes. Well, let me tell you, Jared. Let me tell you a story. I'm not, like, I watched He-Man back in the day when I was a kid, but I'm not somebody who, like, kept it around as I grew up. So, like, I remember the other night I was on Netflix. I was like, I want to watch something. What do I want to watch? And I noticed He-Man Revelation was on. And I was like, Masters of the Universe Revelation was up. And I was like, oh, I remember us doing that story about Kevin Smith doing this series, blah, blah, blah. Okay, on a whim, I'll play the first episode, see how it strikes me. and then I watched all 5 episodes. Like I played the first episode and just watched them all. I didn't really expect to enjoy it or hate it. I was just curious about it. I enjoyed it a lot, and I even sent Jesse a message. I was like, dude, the Masters of the Universe is pretty solid, man.
Yeah, I was shocked because it had literally just dropped and you had seen all the episodes. I was like, what? I haven't even cracked it.
I even when I seen it on Netflix, I hopped online. I was like, well, what are people saying about it? Is it good? There was nothing yet. There were some reviews, like the reviews from people that got to see it before it was released, like the big news sites, and pretty decently reviewed. One review was like, they need to remember it was a kid's show, but like that was the most negative thing, and I was like,
which is one of my positives.
Yeah, I was like, oh, is it gritty?
It's great.
Cool. I'll check it out. So this was before the backlash. And then later that day, I was like, I hopped online and everybody was trashing it. I'm like, what?
Right.
I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was like, okay, they did. Sure. They took He-Man out of play for the most part. He's still in every episode. Go back
every
and watch.
episode.
He's in every episode.
One.
But they took him for the most part out of play and did this other thing. And that to me was what was super interesting. I was like, oh, it's not just going to be like pure Saturday morning cheese. They're just going to rehash and just whatever. It is a little bit of that, but also like, let's do all this other stuff. Let's do, I don't know, the things that people are so upset about were the most interesting things to me. I was like, that's kind of bold.
Okay,
That's kind of
so
interesting.
We're gonna get into spoilers, right?
Yeah.
Because I've got somebody in my chat that is not even done with episode 1.
Oh.
And after episode 1, everything changes. So just FYI,
Yeah, we've got to
not
do
seen
spoilers.
we're gonna spoil some things.
Yes.
If we don't, then I just won't have anything to say.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. But from now on, spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah, because I want to jump in it.
Big spoilers. Potentially.
It's gonna be spoilers. We can't hold back Melanie.
It's so interesting watching this with Melanie. I had her watch this after I discovered the backlash. Some of the things she reacted at, I was like, that's some of the stuff that the people were reacting at. So I think Melanie would probably understand some of the complaints. But I'm going to stop talking for a little bit and let you guys talk about it. Fight.
I didn't know I had some complaints as some of the other people. That's crazy. But
well, you are the sexist one of us.
well, that's true.
I'm just messing with you.
I don't recall. Okay, so He-Man, yeah, like you said, He-Man's not really in the picture, and it follows, what's that chick's name?
Tila.
I don't recall. I mean, I didn't watch He-Man all the time. I watched it sometimes. I was more of a She-Ra type person. Actually, way more like other stuff like Thundercats and whatnot. But anyway, I don't remember this chick ever being in there, and if she was, it not being an important part of it at all. In my opinion of it. So this was like a brand new person that I was following, and I didn't have any feelings about it, and I don't understand necessarily why anybody would care other than that she's a chick, and that's got to be what it is, right?
So being the oldest and probably having the most connection to He-Man, almost like I'm on a He-Man podcast. Which I don't mention very often because I don't want to muddy the brands. But yeah, she's a huge deal. Like she literally, I mean, like they're even hinting at it. She's in the first season. I think it's like the 6th episode. It's Tila's quest. She's got several mini comics that are kind of devoted to her. She essentially is going to be the next sorceress. And I think that's what they're hinting at along the way.
Spoiler. Jeez.
Well, I mean, for like 30 years ago.
That hasn't happened.
But I mean, like everyone knows this except Tila kind of thing, which is not going to play well considering how well she reacts to stuff that she doesn't know.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
go
I,
ahead.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know enough about He-Man, but I'm curious
Right.
about that. The sorceress chick. How old is she? And is there no? I guess maybe it's the same with like vampires. It doesn't really matter what age people are because you're always going to be older. Never mind. Let's. It's not important. Let's move on.
Okay. So yeah, so honestly, I feel like the first episode, and this is getting Melanie to watch this at all, I was nervous about, and I was like, I don't know if I should. Okay, let's try this. And here's what I was expecting. First episode is a little rough if you're like, oh, because you start off and it's kind of still old school status quo. All the characters
Right.
are hyper them. There's the puns and Cringer and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Orko and
Tila's got the beehive.
right. And then I feel like it's the end of that episode that is supposed to be the hook. And for me, it was where it's like, oh, it seems like suddenly the two, like the hero and villain of this series, are dead. And hold on, I'm derailed. Jerry the Gnome says,
Wow, on Twitch
Hey-
over there.
"Hey guys, sorry I'm late. I'm actually from the future and have traveled back in time to tell you that season 2 for He-Man is awesome. Did I land right and come in just as you guys were starting to talk about He-Man?" Yes, Jerry. Thank you for that. Beware spoilers for part 2 or whatever it is. And that's a whole thing. That's a whole nother thing we can get into in a moment because it's important, I feel, to the backlash. Matty D, W2F.
Yeah.
Matt, you gotta wrangle your mythical friends. They're over on Twitch.
Which is fine. I mean, go ahead.
I mean, they can be on Twitch.
hang out on
but
Twitch. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, both of you. And that's where it like deviates the series.
Mhm.
And then so episode 2, it has some heavy lifting. And Jesse, you'd mentioned in messages that people's reaction is so predictable. Like it's like
Yep.
written,
Scripted.
like you just
It's
know.
practically scripted at this
As
point.
soon as like we're following a female character, they give her the edgy flop haircut.
Start the watch. Yep. Start
She
the
now
watch.
has a new character friend who's a female friend who, and I'm sure this has nothing to do with anyone's outrage, happens to be black. This character that we don't know, and we're following them, and they're jacking with the universe. They're changing things.
Right.
To me, all that I was fine with that. Tila as a character is okay. I feel like she's maybe held a grudge a little too long. I get like whatever, but I feel like you can almost tell Kevin Smith and whoever he worked with to come up with the overall idea of what they were going to do went back and was like, what are some threads we can pull on that's potentially really interesting? And I love the idea of like, oh, this like group of like 5 people and the one person they don't tell the big secret to.
Right.
What if they found out? That's super interesting to me. And so they're like, let's do that.
Right.
Because my whole thing is like, did you just want the old Saturday morning cartoons again? Because just find that episode where they do the flashback on the pirate ship and watch the first like 4 minutes with Merman or whatever it is. There you go. But if you want an actual interesting story that's written potentially for adults that follows conventional story structures and is concerned about characters, that's kind of what they were trying to do here. And that's why I don't understand the outrage. It all seems so surface level.
Well, when you think about Tila, she's the captain of the guard. In this, she's being upgraded to a man-at-arms, and her best friend, potential love interest, has been lying to her this entire time. Her adopted father has been lying to her this entire time. Flippin' Orko knew and has been lying to her this entire time. Even the queen knew. And, like, how's she supposed to do her job? Like, this would not fly.
It's weird that she doesn't know.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the whole thing too. It's just like, what?
Well, you know, Lois Lane is supposed to be a good reporter. This chicken can
True.
you know, do her job just as well, I would imagine.
Oh, and the talking cat. I forgot about the talking cat.
I love the talking cat. That was the only reason I ever watched He-Man.
Paul says grizzled and war-torn merman was what I needed. I actually love that too.
I wish they would have modulated his voice even a little. Like, ask Kevin Conroy to just do something. Like, look, dude, your character has enormous lips. Just do something. But it was just like, he's just like, nah, I'm Batman. I'll just do it.
Who is it? You seem to know this person. Who's this person's name, Jesse?
Jared from
Jared.
One Stop Comics in
Oh,
Fremont,
hey,
Nebraska.
Jared. I remember. Okay, I remember the Grawlix Nights. You had him on a Grawlix Nights, didn't you?
Yeah, that's true.
Back when Grawlix Nights wasn't the interview show and not the live
Right,
show.
and not just the show.
Not
It's
just
the
the show.
show.
He says, I think people do want the old show, but need to have more in-depth storytelling, even if there's something comforting with the 80s campy stories. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I love when potentially goofy or, just not characters that people take seriously are handled in a serious manner. I don't know why. It kind of fascinates me. And that's kind of what the show tries to do. But at the same time, they never abandon... The one, like I mentioned, I read part of one review before I watched it, and it was just like, it's not bad, but it's a little it tries to be gritty and edgy, and maybe, but I was expecting way more adult and way more. If anything, the themes are more adult. It deals a lot more with the concept of death, even though we're kind of in a comic book world where death means nothing. So I in that respect I see it, but it's not that hard edged, really.
No, it's not.
Right.
It's your traditional classic family fan. It's Lord of the Rings. It's your family style fantasy movie. Is the plot they're doing, and for me it worked. I thought it worked pretty well. Orko, he's so goofy.
They really did well with Orko. Orko and Cringer. I mean, I'm gonna go back to what Melanie was saying. Cringer was awesome. Probably one of the most heartbreaking moments for me. Huge spoiler. Is when Cringer and Adam reunite. I was like, I legit teared up.
Man, they made me care about Orko.
Right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What were some of the other things?
Let's talk about Evil Lynn. Let's talk about the voice. I mean, we talked about voice casting a little bit, but Lena Headey or Hetty or however you say that was incredible. I don't want anyone else to ever voice Evil Lynn ever again. I
like what they were doing with her character. And I know one of Melanie had beef with the end. Melanie, and we'll get to it. We're avoiding the end talk, but I liked what they did with her character a lot.
Me too. And I am opposite of all the whiners, maybe, because I think that it should have gone even more SJW than it did, and that would have made me happy, but they didn't. So I was gonna say Lena is her. Who did you say did the main chick? Was that Buffy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh, now I realize why Jerry the Gnome just popped onto Twitch. He wasn't going to miss this episode.
Oh, that's right. Sarah Michelle Gellar. Slight hot take. I'm not going to say she was bad. Her voice acting was the one that I was the least thrilled with.
Right.
And
it was okay, but it was not great.
I think it
took me out of it a few times.
She still just sounds like Buffy, and she has the Buffy attitude, and I can't unhear it. And I get it's her voice, but maybe that's it. That was slightly distracting to me at times. You're Buffy, be quiet. Not be quiet. I love Buffy, but it's so weird to whatever. And I guess I just haven't watched enough of her voice acting work to disassociate that voice with Buffy. That is Buffy's voice. That
Right.
I got used to it by the end, but them's fighting words. I'm not saying she's bad or it's bad, and there's nothing wrong with Buffy. I love some Buffy, but
I do think that they were dumb. I mean, the friend's fine. They were dumb to give her that haircut. It's an ugly haircut in the first place. Sorry if you have that haircut out there in the world, but it's ugly. But if they're not trying to piss people off, then don't do something like that. You know, that's like kicking somebody after you just pushed them down. You know what I mean? It was already gonna rile people up, and then you give her that kind of a haircut and whatever combat boots. That's what's gonna happen.
That does remind me though. So that pops up in the second episode. I love the second episode because it introduced. I think the first episode at the end hooked me a little. I was like, whoa, okay, that's surprising. What are they gonna do? The second episode, her character's fine and her friend character's fine, but what hooked me into the series in the second episode was the world. Masters of the Universe is a weird world anyway. It's that 80s thing where it's mostly your traditional Conan style fantasy world, except they also have all these other random toys. Here's a robot that we want to work into this, we want to sell, so put this in your world. So it's a little tech magic, but I love this idea of for the most part, magical fantasy land that's lost its magic, and now they have like technology cults rising up.
Yeah.
And it's transitioning over. Like they go into the
Triclops is so cool. Like
they go into
that
that
whole
base,
thing,
and it's all like Tron neon lights everywhere. And I was like,
and the music. I knew you would dig
awesome.
that part too.
Oh,
with
yeah.
this kind of almost synthy. Yeah.
I will agree that second episode made me okay with watching it. I didn't really want to watch it to begin with, and the first episode didn't really make me want to watch it anymore. But that second episode, yeah, that was awesome. And I'm like, I want find some crazy nano juice that you can drink and turn into a robot. That's awesome.
That was pretty great. And then they introduced like Blast Attack, which is he's one of the stupidest He-Man characters ever. His whole thing is that he blows up, and that was the thing. It was like, oh, he's gonna get hit, and then he's got to power down so he doesn't blow up, and then gets hit again, blows up. Spoilers, he blows up. That's his whole point.
Was he one of those toys that had like his stuff blew off and then he had strings so you could like wind it back up and it all pulled back
I
together?
don't even know if he had strings. He just blew up.
Oh, okay.
You know, like, so yeah, you're like, you could lose parts of him.
this toy keeps falling apart. We can work with that.
Yeah. Oh, you lost some parts? I guess you're gonna have to buy a new one.
Right. By the way, Jerry, the gnome, I'm seeing your comments. I can't comment on all of them, but I'm seeing them. Maddie D asks Technomage. Yeah, Technomage. Pretty cool. And
that was Henry Rollins too.
It's so funny because I didn't realize that, and watching it, I had the thought of, I was like, that was a very Rollins-like line. It'd been way better if they had Henry Rollins deliver it. They did. I didn't realize. I was like, that should have been Henry Rollins. It was. Somebody should have given him coffee that morning. He was like 45% Rollins. They needed at least 80, and it would have been way better.
It's a kid show. Come on.
I love that it was Henry Rollins.
We got Jason Mewes in that second episode as Stinkor. He had like one line.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. Because his voice was modulated with the mask over his nose. And yeah.
I liked the art. Well, the artwork in general, and the color palette they use. Like, I liked the artwork in general, but the animation I thought was cool. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
And in researching it a little bit, I found some older articles when it was first announced that they're like, it's going to be an anime, because they went to some studio that traditionally does anime, and it doesn't come across as anime to me. But then I watched it twice, so rewatching it that second time, rewatching it, I could see the anime influences, even a little bit the character design and stuff, but especially the action scenes, for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just got that kind of motion and energy that
Uh-huh.
anime usually has, and I think it fit well. And even the kind of slightly anime, I feel like it doesn't feel like. I have lots of feels. I feel like it doesn't come across as particularly anime-ish because the character designs are still very close to
Hmm.
the 80s designed American toy stuff.
Right.
But the look, the way it's drawn is kind of anime-ish, and I think it suits it well, better than I would have expected, because part of my beef with more, especially when they do like, and listen, the old 80s cartoons, budgets were cheap. So the
Hmm.
animation was,
Yeah,
wasn't a
same
lot of
walk
animation.
cycle every time. Yeah.
Right. But I always liked the artwork itself in the animation. I felt like they were always drawn. It was much more comic booky, where there was more detail in the muscles and stuff. There was just less frames. And I feel like, into the 90s and then 2000s, once everything went digital, it was more like flat, clean lines and stuff, but flat, not a lot of detail. And I feel like this was a nice in between, where there was still a lot of detail to the muscle and to the shading and stuff, but it was still very smooth, clean lines and stuff.
Yeah, but it's He-Man, so they got to have all the popping abs and stuff.
Tila's arms,
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
those aren't those are just man arms, okay? They took
Man at arms.
They took it a little literally. And I get
Yeah.
they're trying to, like, she's a beefy chick, but, and I'm not saying they have to like draw her more feminine, but her arms just don't look like even a beefy woman's arms. They just look like they slapped man arms on her.
Well, sorry, some of us have manly arms. Okay.
Not even you. You don't look like you have man arms.
I was told before that I had very large arms for a girl.
Well, that might be so. I'm not agreeing to that or anything, but but did they say, wow, it looks like they just put a man's arms on you?
Not exactly, no.
Okay.
But I feel for her and her big man arms. But she was my least favorite person in the whole show.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was boring.
Yeah, well, while we're on that, what else was a nitpick thing that we didn't like? What are the things we didn't? Let's zero in on the salt for a second.
Hmm.
Listen, Melanie did not like the show. Don't let
No.
her fool you. She
Oh
didn't
no,
like it.
I didn't like it.
She's being nice, and we did not fight about the end, but we had to stop talking about the end after it was over. 'Cause
Mhm.
You
I
had a
was
debate.
surprised that she didn't like it. I loved the end, not knowing when I first watched it if there was more. I was like, if that's really how they're gonna leave it, that's amazing. And I thought that would be the selling point for Melanie, but she didn't dig it.
No,
Oh yeah.
we already went full spoilers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're going full spoilers
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
My
total-
my biggest beef is if you're gonna kill off He-Man, leave him dead. Stay away from it. I don't want to see him again. Why would you go back? And not only him, but then freaking Skeletor too. Just leave them gone. Don't have them be in the show anymore. The thing that I think they should have done, personally, is at the end, they go back after they get their magic swords or whatever. And then you know what happens? Then the chicks get to rule the land in peace because they are wise enough to realize that they need magic, and fighting over it and whatever is just destroying the world. So there you go. Women rule the world, and there's peace and love and happiness for the rest of time. There you go. That was the appropriate ending.
I want to know why they didn't just call She-Ra.
That's true, because she's a way better everything than
because a different studio has her licensing right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
they do. I don't really I don't care for the new She-Ra that much. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not my She-Ra.
Right.
Paul says because, quote, a world without Superman, end quote. Melanie had beef with a lot of the things that I think the angry fanboys had beef with, except as you can hear, coming from a complete opposite angle.
Right.
Like if Melanie's version of it was like, what's that meme like? This is the He-Man the whatever's want.
Oh, yeah, this is the
Melanie's
future the
version-
liberals want. Yeah.
Melanie's is the He-Man the angry fanboys fear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're already going that way, and you have to know you're gonna anger people, why not go the full way? Why not do it all? And bringing He-Man back, and then I don't believe it anymore that anybody can die. It's not real. I don't even. He-Man's not dead. You know, even now.
Should
Not
we get
dead.
into actual spoilers for stuff that's not released yet? Because Kevin Smith has loose lips. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you said like if they wanted to make people mad, they genuinely didn't. Kevin Smith talks about it like he wasn't trying to make. He thought this was like this would please all the fans because
Kevin Smith made Walrus 2 or Tusk. It's called, right? Tusk.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that whatever that other Yoga Hosers.
Yoga hosers.
So
Don't
he
talk
doesn't
about
know
Yoga
what people
Hosers.
want. Okay.
I don't think I think he did great. And he didn't write all of this, right?
Mhm.
And he didn't even produce it on his own. He's just a part of it.
Mhm.
But I think they did great. I think their miscalculation is, well, it's not their miscalculation. They didn't do anything. Smith did nothing wrong. I think their miscalculation was assuming everyone wanted a good story. And I don't think that's what people want. The other thing is also like
breaking it in half, I think, is a big part of this. You know, like
I feel like that's and the people that produced the show had nothing to do with the way it's released. They didn't know it was going to be released in 2 parts. Let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff Kevin Smith said on what was that episode you shared me with?
it was Fat Man Beyond.
Fat Man Beyond. He was on with the guy that played Orko,
Mhm.
and he said a whole bunch of stuff he
A lot
probably
of
shouldn't
things.
have said.
Right. Like, first of all, Tila does not get the power. She
Mhm.
does not raise the sword.
And that's all the fanboys are so that she's gonna become the He-Man. Ugh. Like they're so worried about that. That's not gonna happen.
I didn't think she should have either. Even if the women ruled the world, then it should have been Evil Lynn. In my opinion.
Right. Oh, you were also to talk about something you seem very upset about is Evil Lynn's basically undoing her character arc.
Yeah. Okay.
And I loved her angle of like, yeah, it's the like I don't mean like obedient, but like the loyal wife or whatever who after the husband's gone's like, what did I do with my life? Like I spent my life basically like enabling this guy to live his best life and I ignored mine.
Mhm.
And so I loved that's a very realistic character arc, personal conflict that I think a lot of people have at some point that you don't ever see addressed in cartoons of all things. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
and to have her so quickly switch back and be like,
I don't think it's going to stick.
It shouldn't have happened in the first place.
I know it's probably not going to stick. In fact, okay, so Kevin Smith said
that's kind of like Evil Lynn's whole deal is like, you never know. She could flip on a dime and betray Skeletor just as fast as anyone else.
Mm-hmm. Part 2, there's a big focus on her. She plays a big role in part 2. So I know they're not done with her character arc. Okay. Warning everybody, spoiler for stuff that's not out yet. But I mean, the information's out there. Kevin Smith said it. He-Man not dead.
Yeah.
Which is a little disappointing because yes, they killed him twice. The first time, and then they brought him back, and I was like, it's a little cheesy, but whatever, fine, it's cartoon. It's Masters of the Universe. And then just to like stab him then, I was like, oh, did they just like fake us out, like set us up with this like, oh, everything's fine, just to like literally drill the knife deeper? I love that. He's not dead. Okay. people upset that there was like they killed off the two main characters, people that we want to see. I mean, sure, if you want to, that's fine. Apparently, they are in the part 2. They have a big role in it, including like huge battle scenes and stuff. Orko.
I know. I was like,
That's a spoiler that bugs me a little bit. I was
like,
like,
dude,
no.
And he had his and I had that whole thing where I was like, oh, I see it. I see the Gandalf moment, and we know that Gandalf didn't stay dead either.
Yeah. So that was probably the most disappointing thing to me of all. Yeah, that nobody can die. Even the bad guys, like that one dude. I mean, I know that you said it's the thing. He blows up, but he blew up in a room with 3 other people, and they were all fine.
Right.
You know.
Well, I mean, like Trapjaw had a new eye, but
Yeah.
after getting buzzsawed in the face.
That was something I didn't notice the first watch. That you pointed out, Melanie, because he got the buzzsaw in the head. I was like, whoa, they're playing for keeps. But no, he shows up in the next episode. He's just got he's fine.
So,
Listen, he's a monster. His brain might be elsewhere. We don't know his anatomy.
I think the only people who got killed in the whole show, really, that maybe actually died, kind of, are the zombies that they fought when they were in the Hell Realm place.
Right? And were they even real?
No, they weren't. They were imaginary, and they were zombies.
You think they're gonna bring back Robot Guy? I loved his bit
Oh,
too.
Roboto might be dead, and Mossman, those two.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, like they're in heaven, so you see them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Roboto though.
What happens if you die in heaven? But he doesn't have a soul anyway, right? So let's.
That's true. I don't know.
Yeah.
I liked Roboto. I liked when he's fighting the zombies, and it's like every shot he's like, "Sorry, pardon me. Oh, sorry. Excuse me."
You're right.
Like it's super polite while blowing these zombies away, and then I'm not gonna say that, Matt. I'm not gonna say it. But I liked his bit with the fear at the end. And he's like, whatever. What a way to go. Like, it's such a weird but interesting way to take him out.
I know that Paul wants us to talk about Tony Todd. What'd you think of Scareglow? Because this is the first time we've ever seen Scareglow in a series.
Oh, interesting. I liked it. Man, I love that episode. The Hell episode or the Underworld or whatever.
Subternia or whatever they called it.
I actually kind of was like, this is very, not hack, but very like cliche thing to do. The whole thing kind of is, but I liked it. I liked how it played out. I even liked the part I was like least excited for going into it the first time because I kind of knew what it was going to be. Was Tila's whole bit, and there's actually stuff in there that I loved when they have that like. Their twisted version of He-Man talking to her, and they use the line. It's so good when he's talking about like the power people have over each other, just like to kind of not manipulate, but basically to kind of cause fear, to cause whatever. The power that people have over each other. I have the power. And it was so good.
Oh my God,
I was like, oh, they used the line in such a like dark, twisted
creepy way. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was so funny. I like that episode a lot. They split off.
Made Orko awesome in that too. I mean,
they split off Evelyn and Orko, and I kind of like, okay, I know what they're gonna do here, but it still worked. It still worked. And then even Orko going out, man. And I didn't catch it because I'm not a big Lord of the Rings guy, but like even his final line is apparently straight taken from Gandalf. So maybe
I was ready for it. Fly, you fools!
Right. But it's so good. The voice actor who does Orko is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like, he can just do that voice. It's not.
He played Arthur in the live action Tick for Amazon. Yeah.
Paul says Orko finally did magic, and it was cool, man. I liked the use of the rings and stuff. That was super cool. So I don't know, I liked it. Here's the thing, though, from what I gathered listening to that episode of Fat Man Beyond, part 2, which they didn't know was going to be split up by Netflix. They just assumed the whole thing was going to be released at once. It's already done.
Right.
Part 2 sounds like it kind of
Gives these
fixes
fanboys everything they want.
It fixes everything that made the fanboys mad about this first part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I got thinking, I was telling Jesse in messages the other day, I was like, conspiracy hat time.
Right.
Netflix, like, part of their job, part of
this.
what they do is they analyze data. And Jesse had said, like, it's so predictable, the fanboy outrage, like, he didn't say in those exact words, but like the outrage and the backlash that you just know.
Yeah.
Maybe Netflix, they did just know, because Kevin Smith even said he was concerned. You know, he was obviously like, oh, like Netflix is going to be upset. Like, everybody hates it.
Right.
And they're like,
Their response was basically like, no, dude, this is great.
This is
great news.
This is amazing PR. And they're like, what? 5,000 to 7,000 fans are mad about it. We have X millions of subscribers. Like, doesn't matter. Like, this is good for the show. What if Netflix is like, you know what? Fanboy outrage, if we split it right here and release that and let it sit, PR through the roof. People are going to be so upset.
Well, I'm pretty certain I never would have watched it unless people hadn't freaked out, because that's why Randy wanted me to watch it.
Right.
So we could talk about it.
I wonder though if it isn't backfiring on them, because I expected it to still be trending and it's not.
That's the thing. It dropped off so fast. Like, even just the whole backlash, I feel like waiting till today, we missed it.
Right. Right. Everybody's already been mad and now they've left it behind. They're like, I'm done with this. He-Man's dead to me.
Well,
Twice.
maybe that's because of Kevin Smith, because he came out too quick to respond to it.
Right.
I don't think that those people, like, that's like a 2 hour, 2.5. That was like 2 hour, over 2 hour episode. People aren't going to listen to all that.
Well, they're not, but somebody will, and they'll comment on it, and then they'll hear that, and then it'll appease them.
When he popped off during a live, stream when it first hit or something, and that's what, like, he was a little reactive at that point, and that's what everybody latched onto. And then this Fat Man Beyond episode was after he had already done all the cooling down and talking to more level heads and whatnot. You know, Kevin Smith got a Kevin Smith first.
And right, exactly. Which, I mean, dude, and he uploaded, there's so many videos on his channel that they had pre-recorded, ready to go. He released a commentary video for every episode with the writers of that episode.
Right.
Because, again, he didn't just write this by himself. It's a show, and that's how they do. They have different writers write different stuff. So, like, that initial, like, onslaught must have been, I would assume, very disheartening. And he's got all this stuff ready in the barrel to, like, release and, like, hype it up, and it's just people hate on it. The Rotten Tomatoes score, that's when I was like,
it's jarring.
Oh, man.
Crazy.
Dude, critics scores like 94, 95.
Mm-hmm.
It's up there. Yeah.
Higher than I expected. The audience score, it's like 36.
And that's before they quit allowing you. Like, you can't even rate it now.
That was
shut it off.
You can rate it again. I rated it
Oh,
today.
can you? Okay.
I rated it today. I was like, I'm gonna beef it up.
Yeah.
Right.
We watched something, I think it was something that you sent to us, actually, Jesse, or somebody complaining about it, and they started saying something about, they shut the rating thing off because they didn't want everybody to know how much everybody hated it. And I'm like, no, it's not even that. It's because people were targeting it, you know,
right?
And that's why the score ended up so low, I would imagine. Because I'm not a big He-Man fan. I didn't really care for it. I still didn't think it was that bad, and I wouldn't have rated it lowly, or that low at least.
Well, I think that's the thing. Is like, when I hate a thing, first of all, I tell you guys, I tell the Grawlix podcast universe, because that's what we do. But other than that, I don't go give the thing a rating at all. Like, it's just not even on my radar anymore. You know, like, I move on with my life. Right. I get it out of my system here, and that's it.
If I dislike a thing enough, what was that? By the way, Maddie D. I seen the hashtag one you did. I just read the comment you did before that. I yeah, I won't read that one, but dude, don't worry about it. You could be a little politically incorrect in the chat. That's fine.
Mm.
We know you. We know you.
We're just not going to put you on blast like that.
No, if there's something that the go-to, just because we spent so long complaining about it was what's the movie? I can't even remember the movie now.
Justice League.
Oh. No, not that. It might as well be.
Yeah.
If there's a thing, especially if it's a thing we're kind of excited for. I think with Justice League both times.
Oh, it's
we were
Brightburn.
like Brightburn.
Yeah.
Right.
Where if I really kind of dislike something, I will get excited to put it on blast on the podcast because it's fun to be salty sometimes. I'm not going to go to the creators. I'm not going to tweet the creators.
Right. No.
Tweet them
Yeah.
death threats, tell them they suck. I'm not going to go review bomb it on every site that lets me review. If I'm on Letterboxd, I'll give it a low score because I score. That's just my thing over there. I keep track of what I score things. But like, I'm not going to go out of my way to try to like. How do people have like fake accounts that they set up to?
Well, I think there's that
on?
too. You know, like
I don't
Yeah.
know how that works, but
they're on a mission and they want to tear it down.
That's the thing. Like even Brightburn, I'm not like I'm gonna go make sure the world knows this is terrible. It's like no, I'm gonna have fun talking about what this bugs me about this thing on the podcast, but I'm not gonna like make a deal of it. And people,
Right.
But Jesse, you and maybe you don't want to, but you had mentioned like there's a lot of people who want to be that guy. I can't remember his name.
Oh,
Me right
they
now.
want to be Ben Shapiro, the Ben
Yeah.
Shapiro of pop culture, you know, like, because there isn't like the official guy. The closest thing to it would be Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan's so all over the place. But they
really
want
is all over
to,
the place.
they want to be analytically acerbic. Like they want to cut this thing down and sound as smart as possible doing it. And that's what they sound like. They sound like they're playing like almost like a caricature of that guy, but for He-Man. It was like He-Man doesn't need a Ben Shapiro. It
Right.
doesn't need. I mean, who else does what Ben Shapiro does? That's the one that comes to mind. We don't need the Tucker Carlson of He-Man.
And it's and they know it's like because you can get ears and eyes and a following by doing those hot takes. Those hot takes. I mean, why do you think I even asked them for a good name for the stream, and Melanie threw out Mistress of the Universe. I was like, that's pretty good. You try to catch that attention, but we're not the type that are like. It feels very disingenuous from a lot of people, and if it is genuine, like, dude, you're just an idiot. You're just a jerk.
Yeah.
Because if you did almost the exact same story, you'd have to change it a little bit, but it was Man at Arms instead of Tila.
Right.
I doubt there'd be as big of a backlash.
Right. Well, and that makes sense too. I mean, but it wouldn't be as compelling of a story because Man at Arms was in on it the whole time, you know?
Right. They'd have to change some things, right? Like
Right.
He's like, I'm mad that I didn't
so
tell you.
mad. Yeah, I'm mad I didn't tell you.
Yeah. And she has, is the love interest, so that always drives things too.
Right.
But it's He-Man, so if there's a thing from childhood at least that boys and men and that manly men would be into, besides maybe G.I. Joe, it would be He-Man. So if they're gonna pick something to skew in an SJW fashion, or whatever the letters are, I don't remember.
That is it, yeah.
Okay, He-Man's the worst one to do it to, because of course they're gonna freak out about it. So I mean, I do kind of get it, but not to the extreme that it is. I mean, it's still a bit ridiculous.
But it doesn't feel particularly woke or like it's trying super hard. Tila isn't like a new character they invented so that they could. She's not like the go-to example, like the go-to, fanboy outrage over a female main character suddenly. Rey. She's not a new character that was invented out of nowhere. she's an existing character, and like if you're looking for conflict, like here's the thing: if you're like, what if we did this? You know, kill He-Man. Like, what would the conflict come out of that? That's an obvious thing. Like, I don't know. It just seems like if you're looking for characters with potential arcs or conflicts or something like drama, that's the go-to. What do you got for some of the other characters? I don't know. I'm sure there's stuff, but she's not like a new character. She's had full episodes of the original series dedicated to her. So
Yeah.
and even at that, they don't just let it be just her. Every episode she has a flashback to her good adventuring times with He-Man.
Right.
The whole reason she's mad is because they didn't tell her about He-Man. She feels betrayed by He-Man.
And I get that too, and I'm not defending them because I don't agree with them at all because they're dumb. But it's her, two other women, a robot, and a thing. I don't know what he is. Maybe they're both male things, but neither of them are men. You know, so I know even
Trollins matter.
even being existing characters, you know, it seems like that's the way that they were going, and maybe it wasn't intentional, but it seems like it was, to bait people.
People just, and they're so sensitive to it too. It's not like everything has to be. Women can be the leads for a little bit. It's fine. It's not like it's everything. By the way, you guys should check out last episode we did a Grawlix podcast. We talked about Fear Street and Gunpowder Milkshake, which are primarily about women, and some of them are even lesbian women.
Overtly, and not just.
Not
I don't know.
just-
Everyone just assumed. It was just like, well, there it is. What?
Well,
Maddie D says, I mean, honestly, it sounds like the writers are really trying to breathe life into something that has already had so many stories that they need to come up with something different. I mean, really, like, man, that Fat Man Beyond, like, if you want, I don't know, if you want to hear kind of like the mindset behind, you know, what they were trying to do, I feel like that got a lot of great insight. You're going to get spoilers.
A little too
some,
much, yeah.
Including some casting spoilers that I'm not going to mention that I was like, what? So,
yeah.
like,
yeah, two of them. Like, one that a character has been cast, which I guess that's not too spoilery, but then the other one where they flat out say somebody's name. I was like, whoa.
And it's not somebody you'd expect. Like,
no.
Is it
and
Snoop
then
Dogg?
my mind reels like, who is he?
Is it Snoop Dogg? It's not
sorry,
Snoop Dogg.
Spoilers. It's a he.
It's not Snoop Dogg, but it's in a roundabout way somebody, I guess you could say, from that.
Is it Seth
Right.
Rogen?
Of entertainment. No, it's not.
This is Seth Rogen.
Oh, you're taking the weed angle. No,
Yeah.
it's well.
Okay.
I seen that they did do that one movie. I can't. We're gonna spoil it, but that actually,
Okay.
yes, it's somebody from the weed angle too.
Woo!
Listen, that movie was fine. Nobody knows what I'm talking about. That's fine. Okay. Enough about. Really, I was super excited to kind of talk about it because when at first earlier this week, it was just hard to find anything that wasn't just trashing it, and I'm like, dude, what? First off, people are ridiculous and weirdly oversensitive about things. When I don't know, and mad about getting whatever. I thought it was good.
Everything that they were mad about was untrue in a lot of ways. You know, like He-Man's not in it. He's in every single thing. It's called He-Man. It's not even called He-Man. I'm sure that somebody got mad about King Grayskull. In heaven, they can choose their form. He even said it.
I'm not surprised because men are so emotional and hysterical all the time. This is just like men.
Yeah. He-Man childs.
Yep.
Anyway. Yeah, I felt the need to kind of defend it a little bit because I was like, man, I was not expecting to enjoy it at all, and I watched all 5 episodes in one
I
sitting.
thought it was
So-
great. I thought it was great. And that first episode when he calls down the power of Grayskull was awesome.
Mhm.
Well, and that's the thing, like, and it's not even like occasionally they'll do the thing like, well, he actually said that, like referring to like cheesy puns, but
Mhm.
Right.
it's not disrespectful at all. It feels, if anything, taking him out of it feels like that way every time they show him, it can just be a nostalgia love fest. Like they put
Right.
so much into that first transformation sequence. Like it's like,
Oh yeah.
oh, look at this He-Man.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
or excuse me, I guess not.
What?
It's not adult, so it can't be.
Can't be erotica.
Yeah,
Erotica? Is that what you said?
I mean it's leaning that way.
I'm gonna slow it down when it zaps on the loincloth. See what happens.
There is no loincloth at first.
He-Man.
Yeah.
Oh my.
You're gonna master my universe.
Oh,
Oh goodness. Oh, my childhood.
I have
You just ruined my childhood. The Grawlix podcast ruined my childhood, friends.
and that's also the thing. Like people, I think, because Kevin Smith's involved, kind of expect it to then to be. I feel like that one review where it's like they just needed to remember this was a cartoon for kids. It's like it wasn't that bad, and I feel like people just they hear Kevin Smith, they're like, oh, it's gonna have a bunch of D jokes, you know.
Right.
And the most maybe out of place, obvious sexual reference was no glove, no love.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, but like a kid ain't gonna know that. That's a slogan for condoms from like decades ago. Kid ain't gonna know that.
One thing that was kind of fun was in heaven they get on the like discs, which is a straight up reference to the Dolph Lundgren He-Man movie where they're on those stupid flying
Right,
like,
right.
discs. And it was like, oh, that's funny.
That's the thing. It feels. What's the word? I can't think of the word, but like loving homage to a lot of stuff during the time.
Referential.
Yeah.
Deferential and referential. Oh yeah, Wonder Bread He-Man was even in heaven. The mythological He-Man that did or did not exist was like a He-Man with brown hair and had like a harness, and he's riding on a dinosaur in that heaven thing. So they even made the Wonder. He was supposed to be this. The urban legend is that you could like fill in one of those UPC forms or whatever and send away for a free He-Man from Wonder Bread.
Mhm.
And that's where Wondar, this mythological urban legend of a He-Man figure, came from, and they made him canon in this show.
That's some that's some deep cuts to references that aren't even like in the like from the show.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Apparently there is a Fistar joke in part 2.
Oh yeah, Fisto. Yeah.
You can't. Kevin. You can't
I mean,
give Kevin Smith a character name that and not expect something bad.
right.
out of it.
Yeah, come on. When that joke's been done to death, so I mean, like
Kevin Smith
it's
will
kind
not
of
be on
low hanging
joke
fruit,
to death.
right? right.
Or
It's
low
like,
hanging fruit, and he'll tell you.
That's
I'm
true.
Sure. What were you gonna say, Melanie?
I was just gonna say talking about that for some reason reminded me, and this I don't know if it's something the big pyramid stone underneath, if that's something that they made up for the movie or if that was actually part of the thing. But why wouldn't they just have people live in Castle Grayskull then, and they could be there to defend it, and they would have to go like wait for the army to show up if it's that big and important.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I agree with you.
the Hall of Wisdom angle.
Yeah, like we're supposed to protect the Castle Grayskull. It's like, well, then why do you guys all leave when you're not doing your Saturday afternoon gatherings or whatever you're doing?
Right.
Yes.
Well, then they leave a chick to watch it, huh?
They can't even leave the castle. Like she can't even. She has to be a bird if she leaves the castle. She can't leave in human
Maybe
form.
that's because she knows where her place is.
Oh God!
I'm not serious.
All right, folks, we're canceled.
It doesn't even make sense.
Nice.
It doesn't even make sense. If you want to cancel me for that, fine.
Yeah, no, we can twist it. Her place is flying free on the wind. That's what it is.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's what I meant. What did you guys think I meant?
Nothing.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to part 2.
Mhm.
I would have been fine if this was all we got and they ended it like that. That was amazing because it's such a you just don't expect it. That was my whole thing.
Right.
Yes, it's disappointing when Evelyn is like, well, yeah, but also you kind of tell she has that moment where she's like, okay.
I didn't necessarily expect it to go down the way it did, but I did expect it, kind of. I expected nobody's death to really matter. I expected that.
It's Skeletor shanks him and then just moves his head up to the side of his face, doesn't say anything, and then moves back, and I was like, what is this? It's amazing. It's so hardcore. So there were little things like that I really liked. So I'm glad. I don't like the puns. I'm glad it didn't stick purely Saturday morning cartoon camp. So maybe I am exactly who this is for. Kevin Smith himself has even said he wasn't the hugest He-Man fan. He, he wasn't a diehard like he was about Batman and stuff. So maybe that's who it's. It's fine. But
I'm interested to see more takes on how the world has changed, because we got Merman without an eye. We've got Trapjaw just joins the Triclops cult. Where now I want to know what happened to Buzz-Off, what happened to the Avions, what happened to Manny Faces and Ram Man. Obviously, I want to know about Ram Man.
The Merman thing. The Merman thing is a great point, and that's why it's so cool. And he's such a goofy character, but they kind of even set that up that he's kind of a goofy character, and then he shows up scarred, missing an eye, and they don't.
Yeah, I want that figure. I want those new adaptations of the figure. I want Trapjaw, who's already been buzzsawed in the head with a robot eye over here, but in cult garb. I want that. I will buy that.
I like that world building. They don't even. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say it has to do a little bit with that. I want to see not so much what happened to people before. I want to see how things are gonna work now that they're getting back together, because several people basically denounced magic, were way against it. So now that it's back and Skeletor's back, are they just gonna turn around and be okay with it? And what about the big red fluffy haired monster guy? I don't know anybody's name, that was still with Evil Lynn the whole time.
Beastman, yeah.
He fought and maybe hurt some of them. Are they just gonna get back together and be cool now? I mean, how is all that gonna work?
What's happened to the king and the queen? We don't even know what happened after that courtroom, or
they got old.
They got old. It just died.
One review I've read of it since watching it that I really like is that comments on the world, and it is weird that you don't see them anywhere. The king,
right?
But they're it's essentially the magic left and turned it into a Mad Max version of Eternia. It's a post-apocalyptic story, and it really kind of feels that way when they're out in the world. It doesn't feel empty, but it does feel kind of dead and void of life or magic, you might say. The world building in it was awesome, and that's one of my favorite things potentially about it is what it does there.
Yeah, I agree, because the beginning and the end were my least favorite parts of the whole thing.
I feel like I feel like they're not going to bring Moss Man back. You can't on roast pine, Paul says, but also you can't on obliterate flesh, but that doesn't seem to matter.
Right. Well, also we didn't get Orko in heaven. We did get Moss Man in heaven. So
right.
So Orko, we can say, well, he just didn't die.
But that was a super selective heaven. There's 5 people there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And almost all of them are He-Man.
They even said normal mortals. Orko's at what a
Trollin. Yeah.
They have their own heaven though, I think. In the
Trollin heaven.
They have their own.
You can't get into You can't get into troll in heaven.
I think this is supposed to be more like Valhalla or something, where it's like only the warriors who die a good death in battle get to go there or something,
yeah.
you know?
Well, and Mossman even says like mortals don't go there when they die, so it's not just heaven; they become plant food basically. So they become the forest then, and I thought that was interesting and kind of dark.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it just means that regular people get to reincarnate, and they don't. They're stuck being He-Man because they're full of themselves.
but he picked his lesser form.
hmm I
Yeah.
don't think his girlfriend would have, though.
Oh, did he? I didn't catch that.
Kevin Smith did say Trollins have their own heaven, but also he said that he told that was in regards to like he told someone because someone was like, I watched this with my kid and like they liked it, but they were really bummed out about Orko, and he's like, well, tell him this. So I don't know, and I don't know enough about the Masters of the Universe lore to know if that's the case, but that would not surprise me.
I mean, he's from another like dimension or something. So
Also, did you see a body? The same rules applies to cartoons as it does
Right.
all other entertainment media. You don't see a body, they're not dead.
I
Right.
thought he was just a hat and a coat. I didn't even know he had a body.
I remember him from the cartoon back in the day, but I didn't know what he was. I was always confused by him.
hmm
yeah.
He's a cool design, but he was such a doofus character, and that's his point. He's a doofus
Right.
character, but
They played him so well. I mean,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know we're trying to wrap things up and everything, but like he he was maybe the crux of this thing in a lot of ways because
Mhm.
he retained the heart that Tila had kind of like she
Mhm.
was like, no, nothing about my old life, and Orko was like, I'll be good, just take me on one more adventure.
Yeah.
I thought, older dying Orko was awesome, and like the scenes he was in for the scenes he was in, that doesn't sound proper English, was like he has that speech with I forget her name, but the new girl on the boat, and just
Is
like
that Andra or
days
Andara?
like this, you think you're gonna remember everything. She's like, what, you forget things? And he's like, he has that speech. I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
It touches on aging and death much more than I would have expected, and I feel like that's the majority of like the adult themes. That's where it deviates from being a kid's cartoon, is how it addresses these things.
That's because everybody that watched it as kids is like on blood pressure medication and
Right.
having those worries and issues now.
All
Hashtag
getting
too
older.
real.
Right. Well, and I don't know if that stuff comes from Kevin Smith, but he had like a heart attack. I'm sure that would have, I'm sure that's had an. They're about to start filming Clerks 3, and he was talking about how that informed some of the things he is writing for Clerks 3. So like, I'm sure that has an impact. He's getting up there.
Yeah. So is Silent J gonna talk the whole time now, or not Silent J? Silent
J.
Bob. Silent Bob gonna talk the whole time now because he's
Sounds like they're relegated to the same status they were in the first Clerks. So
Right.
Yeah. So it was not my cup of tea, but I didn't think it was bad, really. Just I would not have made it personally.
Are you?
Are you going to watch part 2?
That's what I was gonna ask. Are you gonna
I
watch
don't
part
know. But yeah, I kind of don't want to because it's just gonna switch everything back to the same boring crap. And when I was mad about him returning at the end and then dying right away, also because I just went through this whole big long thing, and then you're just gonna like, just get rid of it all. Like basically, we're right back to square one at the end of the first chunk, and that kind of made me mad because I'm like, well, why did I have to sit through it then? If we're right back there at the beginning again. But if they're gonna, I mean, that kind of makes me want to watch the rest to see where they go with it, since he's not gonna be dead and they're gonna do something different. But I don't know. We'll see how I feel, I guess. Unless we're gonna do a review, then I'll watch it.
Depends how mad people are about it.
yeah.
The fact that we didn't have any random people course, maybe that stream, maybe we just don't have that kind of visibility. That as more likely, but pop in to be mad about it. It blew over super quick, weirdly fast. In fact, like yesterday or maybe even Tuesday, and now it was yesterday, I was like, nobody's talking about this anymore. Nobody cares.
I mean, they're still putting out their stupid videos about da sucked, but like it doesn't have the staying power because
Why do they always talk? I mean, I guess we do have kind of a long podcast, but it's usually one guy and they talk for like an hour and a half or something about stuff. It's so ridiculous.
And if you make a mistake,
Paul's going to pretend to be mad for us.
Yeah, he says I could feign madness for you.
Wait, which kind
you
of
don't have
madness?
to feign madness.
Yeah.
You have the madness for real.
Jerry the Gnome is mad there wasn't more Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Of course he was. All right. Yeah, I did not expect it to derail the show this week, but as soon as I seen all that, I was like, this is this show. This is what we're doing. And then there was Doctor Who news. I was like, we're going to go long.
Yeah, definitely going to go long for that.
All right. Melanie.
Yes.
Anything we should be amazed about?
Sure. There was a study published recently. And well, they tested it on mice, so at least in the brains of mice, but we assume probably us too, but we'll maybe find out later, that dopamine can be willfully controlled by mice and probably by people too. I think you have to kind of train them to do it a little bit, but basically, if you like, the reason dopamine kind of works without a reward is so that you go look for a reward. So you don't have any food and your brain will be like, I need some food, and it'll release a little bit of dopamine and it'll make you want more. So you go look for food so that you can have more, kind of a thing. And our brains do this naturally, but we can make it do that. Like if we are like, a reward might be coming, and think about it, it'll release, and you can train your brain to do that, or they train mice to do that, which is kind of super fascinating because I want to be able to release dopamine and whenever I want in my brain. That's awesome. That's the the feel good, one of the feel good chemicals. Besides,
I want to get doped up.
Yeah. So that's fascinating, and I hope they do some more research on that, and then it could do a lot with depression, or help a lot with depression and addiction also.
Paul, I love this idea. Doctor Who is your secret word of the day. All you're missing are bells, buzzers, and whistles. Otherwise, y'all react just like Pee-wee's Playhouse when someone says Doctor Who.
It's literally why we have a podcast.
It is. I mean, this started as like comic book podcast, but it was like comic book and Doctor Who, because the Doctor Who's what started it.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it's all about.
Thanks, Savannah. She's not on anymore, but she's the reason we got into Doctor Who.
She is the reason she got Melanie and I into Doctor Who in the first place.
Yep.
I was like, I don't know this weird show, but I like that creepy old theme song. You
like the gas mask kids. That's what hooked you.
Yeah, you want to win me
Empty
over.
children, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gas masks, zombie children. That'll do it.
Somebody please think of the empty children.
Too bad there isn't any Doctor Who comics, Matt says. I know.
Or any other Doctor Who media.
That's the thing. It's like I want Doctor Who. I know there's a ton, and there's a ton. I don't know why I don't listen to more of the audio dramas. I should, but yeah, I know there's a ton.
Because you listen to audio all day.
Yeah, it's true. And
actually, now is probably the best time for you to maybe dip in a little.
Mm-hmm. It is actually. Yeah, I'm feeling more creative lately. I wonder why.
Anything else?
Jesse, you got anything exciting to mention before we go?
I mentioned that I've got another podcast where we talk about He-Man.
Yeah, you never mentioned this on the show.
Not just the Masters of the Universe. We actually even talk about He-Man. But actually, we don't talk about He-Man all that much. We just talk about like how he's kind of a jerk. He-Man's kind of a jerk on the show. So it's called Make Eternia Great Again.
Bait
You can
and
find
switch.
It's a bait and switch. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry at all. Y'all are just a bunch of babies that need to grow up. That's the line that killed Smith right there. Yeah, find us on I think our main page is on Podbean, but if you just search Make Eternia Great Again, first of all, you're going to get a t-shirt design, and then you'll get the podcast. So you can find us that way.
Did Kevin Smith actually say that?
Yeah, no, he said the fans need to grow up.
Okay.
Grow the F up, I believe.
Oh
but this
my
is
god. He's not, I mean, in this he's not wrong. I would agree with him. I'm surprised he let his anger get away. That is definitely
that's what happened on the live stream. And
PO
so
in the moment thing to say.
The Fat Man Beyond thing, he had clearly calmed down.
That's funny.
I mean, if you're making cartoons for adults, though, maybe you shouldn't be telling people to grow up.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I think it's fine. Tell him that.
I think it's
Smith. What is the week? What is this? Let me check the dates. Okay, no, we got okay. Yeah, I don't know. I have nothing exciting coming up. Oh God, I wish I could edit in real time sometimes.
Let me check
before it happens.
my calendar, like we have a calendar.
Beep beep boop boop boop.
Let me check my calendar. Yeah, not a whole lot coming up yet, so we'll leave it at that.
Yep.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching if you're here live. Thanks for listening. If you're listening on the podcast feed later, I can tell it's time to get off here. If you want to hear more, go to grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX podcast.com. Consider supporting us. You can become a Patreon at patreon.com/grawlixpodcast. And tell your friends. Tell your mom.
Especially tell your mom.
Yeah.
Tell your mom. She's going to love us.
Yeah.
Moms love us.
They
We're
do.
squeaky clean.
Why has that not been our slogan the whole time? Moms love us.
Moms love us.
Maybe because that's not like really the target demographic we're going for, but I think maybe that's what we've been doing wrong.
Right. The moms are a huge market, and we're not tapping into the moms love us market.
Next week, we talk about soccer vans.
And how hard it is to be a mom.
That's it. That's all it has to be. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making light of that either. Just for the record.
No, you nailed it though, because I was trying to think of like everybody knows moms, or you are a mom. There are mom posts. I was trying to think of any of them, and that's you nailed it. They're all about how hard it is to be a mom. I'm not saying it's easy either.
Yeah, so come listen to 3 childless adults that
Oh yeah, there's that. That's true.
The first ever Clueless Moms podcast.
Yep.
Oh, here we go. Pies, Jello, and how to get your whiters white. Or your whites whiter. I don't know if the whites get any whiter than they already are on this show.
Yeah. I was practically glowing earlier. Before I got my light figured out.
Thanks, everybody. Take it easy. Have a great weekend.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.